Finding yourself the prey in the talons of an owl on a dark night is a gruesome affair. The owl will rip you to pieces or eat you whole. Then it will digest you later to spit up a compacted pellet of what was your fur and bones. Then the owl kicks back, rolls itself a cigarette, and smokes it while listening to the wolves howl. This is the smoking owl. This is a true story that happened several years back when I was 13 years old. This was a time when I was growing up in New York. We actually had a summer house on Cape Cod and spent every other weekend there, if we could. Cape Cod is a peninsula off the east coast of Massachusetts. It becomes very busy, even crowded during summertime, but during winter season it becomes empty. The majority of houses in our area are owned as summer houses. So during winter, the houses are still there, but the people are not there. In contrast to New York, there's only street lamps on a single main road in this town. The main road goes from the town center to the beach. Aside from this road, all the roads are dark and very black at night. Also, Cape Cod extends out into the Atlantic from the mainland, forming a bay, Cape Cod Bay. Not only can one watch the sunrise over the Atlantic Ocean, but one can watch the sunset over Cape Cod Bay on any given clear day. Another effect of being surrounded by ocean is that there's very little man-made light at night. The stars are so clear and the Milky Way is clearly visible spanning across the sky on clear nights. This story happened during the vacation period between Christmas and the New Year. The Christmas celebrations were finished. There was plenty of leftover turkey and pumpkin pie. We got a bit of cabin fever with all the Christmas food and family on one evening. My older sister, who is 7 years older than I, 20 at that time, came up with the idea to take a walk to the harbor, which was about a 20-minute walk from our house. The harbor can be fun because we can walk out on the docks and walk amongst the boats. While I was a bit creeped out to walk out around a deserted beach town on a cold winter night, I also thought it would be fun to get out of the house and maybe even be exciting. We headed out. Across the street from our classic Cape Cod cottage is a field with a forest at the other end. At night, I would also have a little fear that there could be a psycho watching us from the tall grass in the field. Perhaps he would have an axe. But while it kept my nerves wary, I knew it was just my imagination. But still, icy wind blowing on the tall grass is a perfect setting for some horrors. Add to this a moonless sky with a million sparkling faint stars that the Milky Way creates, and the horror setting is at level Stephen King. We walked out to the main road, went a bit down the road, and then turned to walk down a side street that leads to the street that dips downhill towards the harbor. This side street runs along the backside of a long hotel. It's more like a 2-level motel, painted light yellow, and it has a pool. It's well situated in town, so can be full of life during summertime. On this December Eve, the hotel was closed for the season, completely dark, and several windows were covered with plywood for protection. My sister mentioned that a hotel that spans an entire block but is partially boarded up reminds her of a horror movie, like one of those slasher films where the characters make all the wrong decisions and walk into the worst of dark places just to find their worst nightmare come true. At the end of the street with the hotel, we continued to the left, which is a long road downhill through the woods to the harbor. This isn't a pure forest because there's houses set back from the road with an occasional driveway. Many of the driveways have reflectors on a rock or a fence or just standing on a metal stick. These reflectors reflect back the headlights from cars. I mention this because we could not see any of them or anything. It was pitch black in the wooded area, and the road seemed to continue into the blackness. Come to think of it, we had not seen a single car or a single person or a single sign of life since we left our house. My nerves were on edge. I was only 13 at that time, and although my nerves were screaming, I tried to stay calm because I wanted to seem tough to my older sister. The woods alongside the road were particularly nerve-wracking to me. The trees come right up to the asphalt on each side of the road. They provide many opportunities to hide someone or something. The houses beyond the woods were dark because rarely did vacationers come to this town during winter. I started to notice that my sister was also starting to lose her nerves. And that's when I felt it. I felt a flush of energy move up my back and my neck. It makes it feel like the hairs are sticking out on end on the back of my neck. It's a feeling I get when I'm being watched. It's hard to describe this feeling, but I still get it today sometimes when someone is looking at me from behind. It's either some kind of sixth sense or it's just my imagination working really well with my intuition. We were now midway into the wooded area, down the hill towards the harbor. I was starting to lose my shit and was just about to stop pretending not to be freaking out and just tell my sister, "Let's go back." And then she suggested it. She said, "It's late, maybe we don't have to go all the way to the harbor." I replied back, "Yeah, plus it's kind of creepy and dark down there." The back of my neck was shivering, and I felt my body shudder as it wrestled between acting relaxed and flipping the switch on fight or flight mode. My sister replied, "Yeah, very creepy. Come on, let's go back to the house. We can see the harbor tomorrow." We turned around and she grabbed my hand and we started walking fast back up the hill. I remember that she held my hand so tightly it hurt. And my sister never holds my hand. I can't think of another time she did this. And this is where the story takes a deep dive down the rabbit hole. As we got towards the end of the wooded area, my sister screamed out, "I've got a knife and I'm not afraid to use it." And she did not lose any rhythm of her fast walk while saying this. We crossed a street now and headed into the street with the backside of the closed 2-level motel. My sister continues speed walking and looks back. She let out a little panic noise and looked back again. Then she commanded me, "Don't look back." I was utterly freaking out at this point. Aside from the eerie vibe of the dark, empty streets and my own inner panic, I had not actually seen anything out of the ordinary, with the exception of my sister's completely insane behavior. Then she said to me, "When I say run, you run, okay?" "Okay." We were almost at the main road, a block from our street, and she said, "Run!" and we booked it. She let go of my hand, and we both broke into the best sprint we could do. I could hear our footsteps banging the asphalt, and could also hear several other steps banging in the distance behind us. We cut around the grass area to a shortcut toward our street, and ran through the front yards of our neighbors' houses to make a beeline for the front door of our house. We made it. We both ran in and locked the storm door, which is mostly glass. I was panicking, but not sure if this was something real or if we were just going crazy. It was a strange transition from the outside world to the inside. The outside was terrifying, and inside it was warm and lit, and there was people, and it just felt safe. I was questioning what happened in my mind. I could sense that my sister was also questioning herself whether there even was a threat, or if we both just lost our minds out there. I asked my sister what she saw, and she said there was a man that was standing at the edge of one of the driveways. We walked right by him on the way back. She said that when we were behind the hotel, he crossed the street and was following us. She said he was looking right at us, and although we were walking very fast, he was gaining on us. She explained that it doesn't make sense that a man would be standing out there in the dark, wooded area like that. Honestly, I really don't understand what happened that night. I'm not sure how much of what my sister said is true, if she was seeing things or not. One thing for sure, I realized that I prefer walking to that harbor during daylight.